3 ways that I'm using AI to invest this year. I went down the rabbit hole after I saw an article found ChatGPT is on par with professional financial analysts, and it's only gonna get smarter. So I'm on a mission to get ahead of the curve. I bought the premium version. I've been experimenting with it for a few weeks now, and I've come up with some tools that accelerate and improve my process for finding strong companies to invest in. Grab a drink, take a seat, let's talk about this. My inspiration for this came from reading how the huge hedge funds and investing firms have been using AI lately to get huge advantages. And the AI that has made the biggest difference is LLMs. LLM stands for large language model. There's many types of AI. Some are good at understanding images. The Tesla self-driving AI is really good at understanding what a stop sign looks like or what oncoming traffic looks like. Hopefully, the large language models are good at understanding written language. The model consumes massive amounts of data, and then the understanding comes from the patterns that it picks up on from the data that it was trained on. And this comes into play later because different ChatGPTs are going to be specialized at different tasks depending on what data they train for. Almost as if the librarians were required to read every book in their library. I could go to the cat food library to ask that librarian about cat food. I could go to the investing library to ask that librarian about investing topics. It's similar to that. So the big hedge funds and investing firms like Vanguard and BlackRock, they've been using AI to scan massive amounts of data and find patterns and trends for the purposes of investing. Now, we can't do exactly what they do. We don't have access to that kind of information, but we do have access to way more information than we could ever understand on our own. So this is where ChatGPT comes in for us. We have access to an assistant who can think 2,000 times faster than us and read information 2,000 times faster than us. Might be smarter than us, probably smarter than me. The supercomputer that runs ChatGPT has 285,000 CPU cores, uses enough electricity, according to ChatGPT, to power a Tesla to drive around the Earth 26 times in a year. So we have a lot of power in our assistant, and it only costs $20 a month. The salary that an assistant like that would charge, you would think would be hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So where the rubber meets the road for me, the first step is in ideation. In the brainstorming phase, I can start with one thought and then feed that into ChatGPT, and it blows it up into 100 thoughts. It's like a thought explosion. The first place where ChatGPT comes into play for me is with brainstorming. So typically, if I'm looking to invest in a growth company, I like to start with what are the trending topics in the United States right now, and then what companies are in the best position to benefit off of those trending topics. I would hop onto Google, I would type in top trending topics in the US, and boom, here's a list of 100. In the past, it would take me a long time to go through this whole list and try to think of what companies might be benefiting from these. But now I can simply take this list, paste it into ChatGPT, and ask politely, what are the common themes hidden in this list of trending topics? What are the implications for products, services, and investing? Artificial intelligence, health and wellness, alternative medicine, social media, sustainability, emerging technologies and gadgets, business models, and so on. It came up with 10 different things, and then it gives me the implications for investing for all of those things, and then a conclusion where it sums it up very nicely. It put together this whole report in less than a minute, where I can go through in just in a couple minutes to read through it, and now I have a lot of ideas of where I can start for investing in growth companies. Then I like to follow up on that first question with what are the publicly traded companies that are best positioned to benefit from each category you've outlined above. So then ChatGPT now takes 28 seconds and then gives me a list of 10 AI companies, a list of roughly 10 health and wellness companies, social media companies, sustainability companies, emerging technology companies. So as you can see, ChatGPT comes up with tons of companies for me to start the process with. And I'm not saying I'm going to go ahead and just invest in these companies straight away. This is just the first step of my process. And it's not an exhaustive list of the companies that are in those categories. It's just a first place for me to start. The next step, I might look at companies that are similar to the companies listed. So for instance, in psychedelics and cannabis products, it lists Tilray Brands, Canopy Growth. I might look at other types of marijuana companies that maybe are better positioned to benefit from the latest in marijuana. Another strategy for finding investments is using stock screeners. This is probably the most common tool that investors use out there, and I like to use them for finding value companies. I like to use trends for growth companies, stock screeners for value companies. A value company is one that has a low share price compared to its profits. It's like finding a bargain when shopping for groceries. If something has a really low bargain price, it's not going to be a bargain for long because everyone's probably going to buy it up and then the price will go back up. The same goes for investing. If I can find a company that has a really low price compared to its profits, I want to buy it up, everyone else does too, and then the price gets pushed back up and it's no longer a bargain. So stock screening websites are great for narrowing down the list of thousands of companies and just focusing on the few that have a relatively low share price for their earnings. However, stock screeners are really only good at looking at the numbers. They're not really telling us the quality of the companies. There might be some companies that have a low share price compared to their earnings for a good reason. There might be something really bad going on with the company. So this is where AI comes in. I can add a qualitative analysis to the quantitative analysis. If I'm looking for a sector to start with, whenever I use a stock screener, I like to start with a sector of the economy and then go from there. I might go to ChatGPT and ask, what sectors make the best investments considering the current economic climate? ChatGPT instantly gives me 6 sectors: information technology, healthcare, financials, industrials, consumer discretionary, and energy. So if I pick one of these, let's just go with consumer discretionary. This sector includes businesses that provide non-essential goods and services such as automotive, luxury goods, entertainment. As consumer confidence and spending increases, companies in this sector may experience enhanced profitability. So boom, that's my first lead. Now I go to my favorite stock screener, stockanalysis.com, and I screen for United States companies, market caps over 1 billion, price to free cash flow ratio, which is my favorite measure of how good of a value it is. We'll get into that later. The sector is consumer discretionary. I want to see revenue growth over the last 5 years, and then I put in the major exchanges. So is it in the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ? And this screener has filtered down to 5 different companies. So that's great. I got just 5 companies to look at, but the next step is which of these companies are actually in a good position and which one are in a financially troubling position. This is where my second ChatGPT tool comes into play. This one is specialized for analyzing financial data. So this is perfect because whenever I use the stock screener and I get a list of 5 or 6 companies, I want to be able to quickly eliminate the ones that are in the worst financial shape without having to spend a bunch of time going to their financial documents. The one that I like to use is Stock Analysis GPT. So I'll take the 6 stock tickers from my stock screener and say, rank the following companies in terms of financial health. And boom, in a matter of minutes, it comes out with this list with reasoning for why it ranks these companies where it puts them. So Marriott and Airbnb are at the top with Every Holdings and Winnebago at the bottom. For Winnebago exhibits a mixed financial picture with a negative earnings per share in recent results, but projected improvements. Although it has a decent current ratio indicating liquidity, its profitability and growth metrics are weaker. So maybe I'll eliminate Winnebago. Another question I like to ask, rank the following companies in terms of growth prospects. Airbnb and Marriott are once again at the top with Winnebago and Every Holdings at the bottom. So this is just a great way for me to quickly eliminate the bottom of the barrel companies. That way I don't have to waste my time diving deep into all 6 of these, looking at their financial documents, looking at their earnings reports. I can just eliminate them straight away and only use my time going after the most promising investments. Now, when I am eventually ready to do a deep dive into a couple of companies, I like to go into their financials and put that information into Excel and then creating charts, which it takes a lot of time. So this is where the next ChatGPT tool comes into play for me. This one is specialized at using Excel. So if I want to perform an analysis of Marriott's financial documents, I would start by going to stockanalysis.com, going to their financials tab, where they show all of their financial data for the last 10 years. I can then download all that information in a bulk download and then upload all of that into ChatGPT Excel. This way I can ask in plain English for profit by year for the last 5 years or free cash flow, which is actually my favorite metric to look at, and it'll quickly plot all of that for me. So here I've uploaded those financials into ChatGPT and I said, make a chart showing the annual free cash flow for the last 5 years, plot a line of best fit, then using the endpoints for the line of best fit, calculate the average annualized return. So this isn't like a simple request. A lot of people wouldn't be able to perform this calculation themselves. ChatGPT is able to make a graph, create a line of best fit, and then perform the calculation within a minute. With Marriott, their free cash flow is increasing approximately 30% on average every year for the last 5 years. That is really good free cash flow growth. It can also perform this exact same analysis for Airbnb, and do a side-by-side comparison for each metric. Okay, that was a lot of information. It's probably difficult to see how all of these tools piece together from beginning to end. If you want to see me run through my actual process using AI from ideating to picking a company to invest in, check out this video right here. Catch you on the flip side.